What's a cheat code you discovered in real life that actually works? Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. I wish you a pleasant viewing experience. Story 1. For any nonviolent conflict, treat the problem as the enemy. The other people in the conflict are your greatest allies in destroying your enemy. So many people are terrible communicators, and when you can actually facilitate these things, it makes everyone feel much better and the issues actually get solved in a respectful way. Story 2. Start taking your seasonal allergy meds at least 1 month before you actually need them. Thank you, random stranger who told me that over 10 years ago. Haven't had a bad season since. Story 3. You'd be surprised what people will do for you if you just ask. My mom was really big on, you won't get what you don't ask for. So I grew up with a lot of practice just asking for what I wanted. When I took this to the real world, people were always shocked at how just asking for something nicely can get you exactly that. Story 4. Lower the resistance to the things you want to do. Want to study for 15 minutes? Tell yourself you'll do just 1 minute. Then, at the 1 minute mark, decide if you want to keep going. Chances are you will. Inertia is a powerful thing. Use it to your advantage. Story 5. When you have tradespeople to your house to do a job, remember that they're people too and be hospitable. I asked our plumber if he wanted coffee or a Danish, since I had some, and he didn't charge me the $500 to rot out a drain. He thanked me and said, people don't always remember we're people too. I offered muffins I was going to toss to our building intercom repair guys, and they gave me a 10% discount. I'm not saying you should expect these things, just that people appreciate consideration and will sometimes reciprocate. Story 6. If you're looking at something like a hotel or a flight, call them directly. For example, usually what I'll do is look on Expedia or Kayak and see a room for $100 a night. I'll call the hotel directly. Listen, I found a promo for a room, $100 a night. I'd rather give the money to you than them. Is there anything you can do? More often than that, if you're kind and understanding, they'll apply some discount code or promo code. The last few hotels I've stayed gave me state government rates with free upgrades. It pays to be nice. So in Story 7. I'm a bouncer at a club. People give a lot of attitude when I don't let them in because they forgot their ID or it's expired. I've just started being like, yeah, man, I totally get it, but that guy, I point to a random patron near the door inside the club. Works for the liquor board. He's doing a sting on me right now, and he's watching everything I do like a hawk. His partner could have a fake, an expired ID, no idea. 99.999% of the time, it immediately diffuses the situation while eliminating the nobody is gonna know excuse, and the person leaves without a hassle. Story 8. Asking people to do an extra step before you do something for them greatly reduces unnecessary requests. Example. Yeah, I'll resend you that file you can't find. Can you please tell me the date I sent it to you so I can find the email? They have to search for the email and find the file themselves in the process. Works great with lazy coworkers or students. Story 9. Not sure if this is a cheat code really, but we'll share regardless. Whenever my anxiety starts getting the better of me, i.e., you're shit at your job, I do this thing which I call gathering evidence. Taking the shit at job example, I will say, has your manager given you any feedback which supports this concept? Do people at work trust your judgment? Do your workmates, clients, customers respect you? And so on. Generally, the evidence will outweigh or disprove any thoughts that my anxiety is pushing onto me, and that definitely helps to reduce it. Story 10. Doing it badly is an option. Whatever it is. Look how many shit managers there are in workplaces all over. Go for that promotion. You could be a shit manager earning 44 plus too. Floor dirty. Clean it badly. Better than not at all. Dog need a walk but you're tired? A bad walk is better than none. Sacred of starting Kung Fu? Consider being shit at it first. Story 11. Don't take criticism from someone you wouldn't go to for advice. Criticism from people you trust is super valuable, but you can cut off the mental swirl and anxiety by considering the source. If you wouldn't seek a person out for advice, why should you trust negative remarks from them? Story 12. Promotion within many organizations is so much more about who you know than demonstration of competence. Competence never hurts unless someone feels threatened. But recognize that you have to make friends with the right people to climb. Call it schmoozing if you want, but you gotta recognize that we are relational creatures. We are all biased by relationships, and a little rapport can go a long way. Story 13, one I found on Reddit years ago, and totally worked for me the few times I've tried. Bring presents for flight attendants, cookies, candy, gift cards from where you work, etc. They are in service and get no tips, but also work a very thankless job. Plan ahead a little bit and just bring something they can all share. It'll make it the best flight you could have. Food, booze, open seat in a better area of the plane. Whatever they can do for you, they will. Tell them you have a friend who's a flight attendant, and that's why you started doing it. Flying will be a better experience, I promise you. Even if none of the above happens, you'll still have done a nice thing for people who don't get thanked enough. Story 14. Yeshuwanano, Risarimi. Ask bartenders how they are doing and actually listen to their answer. People always complain to them about their days, but not a lot of people actually care about how bartenders are doing. I get so many free drinks this way. Story 15. Mirroring, reflecting. Repeat and rephrase what people say. Works like magic at my office. I'm a doc. God damn it, I've been waiting for an hour for transportation to show up. You've been waiting for an hour for transportation? Yes, and those incompetent S haven't even called me. They haven't called you? Okay, let's see if we can work the problem. What company is it? XYZ, they always do this to me. XYZ always does this to you? Let's call them and see if we can find out what's wrong. 99% of the time I can get the situation diffused. Story 16. Not having kids puts life on easy mode. Edit, because it's 12 hours later and I'm still getting messages about this. Kids are not a replacement for a nursing home. You can't have kids just so you'll have someone to take care of you when you're older. A lot of people with kids die alone in nursing homes. Having a kid doesn't guarantee you'll have your own personal buddy in old age. They'll have their own life. Go make some damn friends so you're not bugging your kid every time you're lonely. Story 17. Akin. Walking, rush your weight loss. You seriously don't need to go to the gym. You just need to move a lot more. If you want to lose weight, you don't need pills or injections. Diet and exercise, eat less calories and walk an hour a day. If you walk for an hour at a decent pace, you can do 8,000 steps. That is enough for slow, gradual weight loss. If you want to burn more fat, work up to doubling that. If you walk 16,000 steps a day and don't overeat, you will lose weight. Also, sleep. And I never used to sleep a full 8 hours, but now that I do, I snack less and feel better. Lots of fitness coaches say sleep is a non-negotiable. It's when your body does maintenance. I got a Samsung watch in January, and the accountability of having it track my sleep and weight and exercise is helping turn my life around. Whatever you look like, you look better when you're not carrying extra fat. Whatever you feel better when you get enough sleep. Story 18, selective caring. My stress levels have seen insane improvement over the past 6 years simply because I decided to not give any energy to mainly the internet and social media. Now my focus is on my immediate family and our personal goals. I have no idea what my extended family is doing every day. I don't see every one of their little opinions about every tiny thing, and I have never been happier. It works in everyday interactions too. I have a coworker who likes to start going off on the latest right-wing conspiracy every week. But he quit bringing it up to me because I just say, I don't care. You got that project I sent you? Literally, just focusing my energy on things I actually have control over has been so freeing. Story 19. Fake it till you make it. I was making 6 figures without a college degree. Confidence can really take you many places in life. This is coming from someone with social anxiety. You really need to get in the headspace of pretending you're someone else, i.e., the person you want to be. Story 20. As any type of artist or creator that takes commission, never announce your price. Ask your customer what their budget is and then offer them a price that's roughly 70-80% of their budget. You get paid a lot more than you were probably planning on charging, and that person is left feeling like they got a good deal because they didn't have to spend the whole budget they were planning on spending. And typically, both people come out of the situation happier. Story 21. Got invited to something you don't want to do or can't do? Don't offer an explanation as to why you can't go. Just sorry, can't make it. If you give an explanation, it can be argued with. You got to take care of your kids? Oh, can't you hire a sitter? Oh, you JE, another thing? You can reschedule that, can't you? No is a complete sentence. Story 22. I try to be nice to people and sometimes try to make them laugh. I don't do it for free things or discounts, but occasionally it'll result in a small discount or a free drink, donut, or something else small. I like making people laugh, so especially people who have to deal with customers all day. They put up with enough BS and they enjoy a few chuckles to break up the monotony and stuff. Story 23. Having a good reputation at work will let you get away with being a not great employee. At a new job, go above and beyond for the first month. Do anything asked of you at max effort and right away. Do tasks that nobody else wants to do. Be early and stay late, within reason like 10 minutes, and never ever about anything. After that month, everybody will think you are a star employee. The bar is typically pretty low, TBH. And from then on, even if you kind of slack off or something up, everybody will still think you're great since that's how they've defined you in their head. Story 24. Don't bring a problem to the table. Bring a solution. It tends to be received a lot better, especially when the problem is your fault. Hey, I noticed XYZ and I thought we could ABC to help mitigate that. Does that sound good? Sounds a whole lot better than XYZ is an issue. Story 25. Take notes on everything. On the personalities of people at work and things they've told you about themselves. On the steps of the project you're doing with your significant other. On vet and/or doctor visits. On the books you read. On how your exercise or mental health or whatever journey is going. Taking notes trains you to be more observant and ask more questions about what you're doing, which means you pay more attention and do it better. Even when you can't remember something, if you say, hang on, let me check my notes, it's as good as if you had remembered, and people treat you like you're a lifesaver. There's a reason the Field Notes motto is, I'm not writing it down to remember it later, I'm writing it down to remember it now. Story 26. There are a lot of things that to many seem like a cheat code. One type of cheat code I used is called just ask to tell people what's up, and it will be totally fine 999 of the time. A lot of people processes count on you not asking, speaking up, etc. Hey, oh man, I remember you from so-and-so, and I'm just garbage on names. What was it again? Tells you name. Thanak you, I'm awful with that. What are you up to lately? If you happen to recall a last name, hit him with Johnson, right? Why am I spacing on the first name? Appear much more like a temporary forgetfulness as opposed to having no idea who they are. Or like when I was at the dealership buying my car. Okay, thank you so much for explaining that, but you mentioned policy and then previously noted this thing about policy. Can you break it down like in 5 and jot down the final, whatever the question was? I didn't give a shit how long it took or how dumb I looked. Edit my GF. Quiet passive will never speak up. Was trying to get a follow-up doctor appointment after a big cardiac event that needed prompt evaluation. I had to lay groundwork to get the nurses to call her back even, but they gave her an appointment almost 3 weeks out. I prodded her while on the phone to confirm this was their earliest appointment and tell them you really need to be seen. One moment, we can get you in next week Tuesday. Just simply asked. Didn't demand anything. Didn't change her tone. Just asked, and she can be seen 2 weeks earlier. Story 27. Pre-shredded cheese is convenient, but the anti-clumping powder makes it hard to get a smooth cheese sauce. Pretty much every recipe recommends you grate your own cheese, but seriously, it's an extra step, and cleaning a grater is a pain in the butt. Use sliced cheese. It's usually the same price as brick cheese, doesn't have the powder, and you can easily tear it by hand into small pieces that melt easy. At the deli counter, you can also buy exactly the right amount of different types of cheeses if you are doing a blend. Story 28. If physically possible, lift weights. No, you won't look like a mass monster after touching a weight for the first time. No, you won't injure yourself as long you learn how to do it safely and correctly. No, no one in the gym is judging you or staring at you, and even if they were, Instead, if you remain consistent, you will get stronger and be more capable when handling daily routine tasks. Strength training has been shown to reduce depression, increase longevity and QOL, and boost overall confidence. Make it a part of your daily routine and reap those benefits. Story 29. When moving through a crowd of people at night, especially at a festival or at a club, bring a small flashlight and hold it like a cop, with your arm up and in front of you, though with the light pointed down. I've noticed people naturally move aside from it, often thinking it's security. It's a really quick way to move through people that usually gives you lots of space and minimal resistance. Story 30. If you're not a motorhead, you can still fix some things on your vehicle with YouTube videos. I tore apart my console the other day to fix a shifter problem and saved myself $600. Of course, it took me 5 times as long as it was supposed to, but I have more time than money, lol. Story 31, quick and healthy breakfast. Set the coffee maker the night before to finish brewing when your alarm goes off. In one large cup, add a couple of ice cubes, then coffee to get it slightly cooled. Prevents clumping. Add 1 scoop of whatever flavored protein powder you like and stir. Mine is Isopure Vanilla and makes the coffee taste like something expensive from Starbucks. It has 25-gram protein, is almost instantly ready, and costs about $1.50 to $2 per day. I feel full for 4 to 6 hours on this alone. Story 32. Don't know if works is the right word unless having peace of mind is valuable. People think about you way less than you imagine. Nobody remembers, or probably even noticed, that embarrassing thing you said, or that your socks are slightly different shades of black, or that your hair was kind of off one day. Story 33, rubber ducking. My company is 100% remote after COVID, and seemed like more often than not when my dev team would Zoom with someone to figure out a problem, we would figure out the answer while explaining the issue, so it felt like we were wasting someone else's time. So we each have rubber ducks on our desk to talk through the problem with, and if we still can't figure it out, we reach out to another developer. Story 34, deleted all social media apart from Reddit. Realized I don't really give a shit what people I went to school with are putting on Facebook, what rubbish is trending on TikTok, or what fake Instagram posts people put out to fake their perfect lives. I've become much happier with myself and more content just not being made to feel like shit for not keeping up with trends or wasting life scrolling through rubbish. I also barely pay any attention to anything on any news channels outsites because it's all negative and designed to make you anxious and worried all the time. My mental health has vastly improved, as has all relationships with the people that I care about. Story 35. When you have people over, clean your place just shy of spotless so you can gesture toward that one sweater slung in the chair or the 3 cups in the sink and go, OMG, I'm sorry the house is such a wreck. Voila, everyone thinks you're naturally tidy. Of course, your real friends know the truth. Story 36. I don't have time to read all the comments, but after making it through at least 80, I didn't see these. So I'll share a couple tips I learned while in college. 1. When asking for help, particularly on something that people don't really want to go the extra mile to help you with something, or to provide solutions that take more work. For example, asking about getting into a full class, or alternatives to bad lab times, or even when facing a college rejection letter. Ask what options are there, not are there any options. Oftentimes, it's super easy to say no when it's a viable answer, even if it's not necessarily correct. Asking what options are there to do X, being specific enough without boxing yourself in, puts the other person in the spot to actually think about the problem and possible workarounds. It won't always work, but sometimes it does. Helped a buddy get past a rejection letter to university using this method. 2. Rules, deadlines, and barriers should often, not always, don't be a dummy and miss government deadlines or things that other people have to take seriously. Be viewed as potential roadblocks that let you prove you want something. They're not always dead ends. Read the last lecture by Randy Pausch. It's life-changing if you're young and need some general guidance in life. Again, use common sense when trying to apply this rule. YMMV. I got into grad school by talking to the right people and asking the right questions. Each time I got hit with a roadblock, i.e., my GPA was garbage, I asked people who said no, who I should talk to, and what options were available to overcome these barriers. If they are arbitrary, generally speaking, there are usually some built-in loopholes or flexibilities that can be accessed if you prove it's worth their time to show you how. Story 37, love your body no matter what it looks like. You don't need cosmetic surgery. You don't need hair plugs. You don't need perfect teeth. You don't need to look like you work for CrossFit. You don't need to cover yourself in expensive labels. You will save so much money from various industries that profit from self-hatred, and your presence in the world will help weaken the narratives they try to push. Story 38, if you can't fall asleep, just close your eyes and relax your eyeballs and kind of let them start moving around quickly as if you're in REM sleep. I swear this kickstarts the sleep process, and pretty soon you're actually asleep. Sometimes your brain is kind of are awake and asleep at the same time, but you're lightly paralyzed and can only move if you really try, basically waking yourself up fully. Story 39. Sometimes people don't call big companies because they think their voice won't matter. This is especially true with sports teams. This probably wouldn't hold true with the Lakers or the Knicks, but I have spoken to the last 4 general managers of my local NFL team enough that I'm on a first-name basis with them because I just called entered their number on the directory listing, and left a message. They quickly called back, listened to my concerns, and we talked. And we continued to talk. And they have all given me their personal cell phone numbers, and I regularly interact with them about team-related things that are important to me as a fan, and they value my feedback. Story 40. I was a grocery cashier dealing with assholes who wanted me to ring up just one last order real fast when I was supposed to be closing my line. Apparently, if you tell people, sorry, when they put up the small plastic freestanding closed sign, it signals the computer to shut down after the current transaction. I can't override it. They believe you, like all of them. Story 41, always have something to say in a meeting. Spend 5 minutes before the meeting working through the likely agenda and just prep a one-line comment or prep a question. Doesn't have to be about you, just on topic and when the time is right. Make your comment and bingo. People will think of you in a good light. Keeps you attentive too as you wait for the best moment to deliver your line. Story 42. Being polite and treating others with respect and dignity makes just about any interaction super pleasant and helpful. I get so much free shit, insights into why things are the way they are, and have such a great day afterwards. My wife is always astonished with how much I can get for free and how many times people go above and beyond to help me out. I just smile, respect others, and treat them like they are a caring, living, loving person. Even if they don't deserve it, being polite and firm makes life just super easy. Story 43. Once you're used to it, you really don't miss breakfast when your career offers you a sedentary work environment. It really helps keep the weight off when you trim out an extra 400 plus calories from not eating breakfast. Call it intermittent fasting, call it being lazy. Either way, it's helped me a lot with fighting off that middle-aged male weight gain. Story 44. Alignment. If there is something you want to change about yourself, align it with your identity. Action is the end result of a long chain. Thoughts precede action, but identity is several layers deeper. For example, not drinking. An alcoholic trying to quit has to contend with the thought, should I drink right now? That thought doesn't cross a non-drinker's mind. It's not part of their identity. Create distance between the old you and the new you. I don't drink is different from I'm trying to quit. Do what a non-alcoholic does until your mind-body internalizes that identity. For example, not keeping alcohol in the house is an obvious start. You want to go to the gym regularly. The average person will try to set this goal for themselves, but be on and off and struggle to keep it. This mental battle doesn't exist in the avid gym-goer's mind. Lifting is just something they do regularly, like showering or brushing their teeth, so much so that it would feel weird not to do. Because they are lifters, this is part of their identity. This is a matter of alignment, not discipline. Discipline is like grease in the engine, but it is not the main driver for people who excel at something. Take the same dedicated gym goer and ask them to do the dishes more often, and many of them will hold it off. Everything has objectively hard things they have no trouble doing and objectively easy things they struggle with. Look at gamers. Some people sink thousands of hours into a video game and get super good at it. Even though video games require a lot of mental energy, people get addicted to them. This is by design. Video games are aligned with our reward systems and locks people in the flow state where they can be completely immersed in the task. Even though they require a lot of energy, they are addictive, even fun. And that is the key. If you want to excel at anything, make it part of your identity and align that task with your reward systems. If you want to get rid of a negative trait, remove it from your identity. Reduce friction for good habits and increase friction for bad habits. Figure out your goals and what makes you tick, and treat them like problems in a video game. Alignment brings you a lot farther than brute force. Imagine a cart on a track. If you push it perpendicular to the track, it won't budge. If you push it at a slanted angle, it will move but be hard. You can choose to increase the amount of force, but it'd be easier to just push it directly in the direction of the track. This is the difference between discipline and alignment. Through this lens, building lasting habits and character traits is not a matter of doing, but rather of becoming. I wanted to share the theory on this, but there's plenty of resources online for concrete strategies. TLDR, your life is a video game. Think critically how to build your character. Story 45. If I need to get rid of something big that doesn't get any interest on OfferUp style apps and sites, and nobody picks it up from the street, I take down the free sign and put a new sign on it with an artificial dollar amount. Every single time I've done this, 6 times now, someone always steals it, thinking that they are actually stealing it from me. I've done it with 2 cracked tubs, 2 couches, a big screen TV, and a refrigerator. Every time the things were sitting outside for days or weeks. But after adding a fake dollar amount, they were all gone within hours. I got rid of all those things for free instead of paying to have them hauled away or renting a U-Haul to take them to Goodwill or the dump. It's kind of depressing how well it works. Story 46. I don't like doing the same thing, eating the same foods, going to the same places, etc. So I set monthly goals based on deals I can find. Finding introductory rates and special new member pricing keeps my life interesting for very cheap. This month, I got really into this ladder climb machine fitness class. Their introductory rate was super cheap, and I signed up for as many classes, unlimited, as my schedule will allow. It's really fun, but I'm starting to get bored with it already. I've already got my eyes on the massive CrossFit facility in my city. There's also a kickboxing club I've been curious about. Story 47. This is incredibly specific, but when painting customized action figures, I pretty much exclusively use Sharpie Creative markers over regular brush paint with primer or airspray paint. They go on fantastically. A nice, smooth matte finish, doesn't chip easily, dries quickly, and the brush tips have a fine point and are flexible, so it's easier to get into tight spots and crevices. The only one I don't like is red, because it dries in a fairly light shade rather than a deep red shade I'd prefer. But if you've ever thought about painting figures or small objects and don't want to deal with primer or proper paint, grab the $20 multi-pack of Sharpie Creative markers from Walmart. They're so good. Story 48. If you're a regular anywhere, if you compliment people on whatever in a non-creepy way, usually you get better service and sometimes you get free stuff. An example. I used to go get these deli sandwiches from my local grocery store that were awesome. I complimented the dude's tattoos, and every single time I would get the most deluxe shit with extra meat, and he would charge me for the bare minimum sandwich. So it went from like $12 to $5. Not exactly free, but I will take it. Story 49. Years ago, an old man told me a story that in his younger years, he bartended at a club that had a pretty rowdy crowd. He said that when he'd have a couple of intoxicated dudes getting confrontational and about to throw punches, he'd add syrup of ipecac, the stuff you give to someone who's ingested poison to throw up, to one of their drinks. According to him, they'd forget all about fighting and start throwing up their toes. I passed this story on to a girlfriend whose husband had a serious alcohol problem and would become abusive. After a couple of weeks of doing this, the guy was afraid he had stomach cancer or something, and he quit drinking altogether. Story 50. If I can't remember a name, I run through the alphabet in my head and test a few names that start with each letter to see how they feel. Eventually, I get to the correct starting letter, and 70% plus of the time, the name just comes to me. Before I found myself fixated on names beginning with a letter I was certain was correct but ended up being wrong. I doubt I'm the only person that does this, but I do feel I came up with the idea independently. Story 51. If you want someone to like you, it can help to create a need and to have them serve it in some way, passively. Like in business settings, you could take what your boss already gives you and create a need that they already serve. Like, hey, thanks so much for check. I really appreciate it. Acting like someone has done you a big favor can create a bond. Story 52. NEV, if you don't care about your reputation, there are a lot of cheap Teslas floating around. Or just pick up a 24 Ioniq 5. Yes, you will still pay more than for a gas car. But after that, no more gas. No more oil changes. Way cheaper total cost of ownership. Road trips and commercial chargers don't save you much, but you charge at home 95% of the time. I have never paid more than $7 to fill my tank at home, and off-peak, the cost for me is about $250. And it's not 2014 anymore. There are chargers absolutely everywhere. An EV is a complete game changer. Story 53, working out or going outside helps improve my mood so much. It's one of the hardest things to do when severely depressed, but it is also so helpful. It's a commonly known thing, of course, but it can sound like a cheat code. Did you know that if you let your sim take a 30-minute walk outside, his mood will rapidly improve and he will actually build relationships faster with others? Story 54, first thing in the morning, drink a whole glass of water. I don't think people think about hydration first thing in the morning, but I cannot tell you how much better I have felt in my day-to-day life by just hydrating immediately. Drink your coffee, your tea, whatever, afterwards, but get in that first glass of water and see how you feel. Story 55, the rule of options. For a long time in my relationships, deciding what to have for dinner was almost kind of anxiety-inducing. I'm sure many of us have heard the following. Let's get some dinner. All right, hungry for anything? No, you decide. And then you scream, fuck, ache in your head because you always have to decide, and often enough, your choice earns you an, I guess that sounds okay response where you can tell they aren't enthusiastic about your choice. Now, I'm not saying this will work for everybody out there, and yes, I did learn this from somewhere else. A movie, I think, but I can't remember which, or maybe it was a TV show, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that you give your partner options, because it isn't so much that my partner usually makes me decide what's for dinner that irks me. It's the meh okay response that I always hated, for me at least. So offer them options. We'll just say we are going to get DoorDash for some fast food. Well, does X from X or Y from Y or Z from Z sound good to you? Giving them options seems to usually result in a, Y from Y sounds good. Let's get dinner from Y response. They feel good. They didn't have to decide. I feel good it was a positive response and all is good. On the DoorDash example, since my wife knows this method from watching the same thing, I have switched it up a bit. I tell her which places have deals that day, and I list out a few options. It's sneaky, but it usually results in a good response. Naturally, cooking at home is easier because I can quickly look in the fridge to see what's available. We could do pork chops, mac and cheese, or spaghetti. Which sounds good to you, hon? Usually the same result of a good response. Pork chops sound good. Let's have that. We're all happy. Also, get an air fryer. Those things are magic. Story 56. When calling a helpline, start by saying you think you messed up and you are very sorry, and you were hoping they could help you fix your mistake, if they can, without getting in trouble. Hans Rosling gave that tip at dawn of his TED Talk. He's the guy whose violently nerdy personality made the format famous, completely unprompted when talking about how the most incredible thing in the world was Swedish people who decided to make washing machine. Story 57. At work, if you need something done a specific way, explain to the person you are asking to do it that way why it is important. Oftentimes, people do it a different way, not because they are being a jerk or being lazy, but maybe the process on their end lends itself to doing it a certain way. And if you just communicate your needs, you save yourself time later on. People care more about what they do when they understand why they are doing it. Story 58. I wish someone had told me how powerful just showing up is. I started going to city council meetings. Next thing I know, I have the city manager's phone number in my cell. I have people asking my opinion on things, and I've been asked to run for office. Same things with a ton of other topics. Just showing up matters. Story 59. If you want something from someone, do something for them first. They may even offer a favor without you having to ask when you're done. I was moving to a new house in a rush and didn't have a way to get my bed over. For some time, I noticed people moving a whole bunch of stuff out of a box truck the same day, like a lot of stuff. Eventually, I offered to help, and after a couple hours of carrying things, they offered to drive my bed to the new city I was moving to. They happened to be headed in the same direction, and it just worked out really well. Story 60. This doesn't work all the time, but it's worth a try and has worked many times for me. If you are calling a company and are stuck listening to options, pressing numbers, and waiting, just swear. 1 or 2 swear words usually is enough. I believe some companies use a system that takes swearing as a sign of an unhappy customer. When I do it, I'll often immediately get a dial tone and sent to a human. Story 61. When I was a store manager, I talked to the owner about creating a Discord for her and her employees, all 16 to 25. The employees got along and had a place to discuss their interests and likes. It ended up creating a super healthy work environment and employees trading shifts when needed. It made our employees happier, and we even used the Discord to plan events with the whole staff, like Christmas parties, K-pop concerts, or gaming days. I've truly never worked in a happier work environment. Story 62. You ever had your frustration boil over with a customer service rep on the phone? I am not upset with you. I am upset with the situation. I apologize. I'm just having a rough time right this minute. It diffuses the situation, and because you took responsibility and apologized in a way CS reps rarely get, they often find some way to help or to find something they can do for me. Story 63. If you work in an office job, mastering the basic tools, Outlook, PowerPoint, Excel, is an absolute cheat code. I cannot overstate how much this helped me advance in my career. I've seen people who were technically more knowledgeable or experienced than me get passed over, simply because they spent way more time fumbling with formatting slides, digging through inbox chaos, or trying to make sense of messy spreadsheets. Meanwhile, being the person who can pull together a clear deck in 30 minutes, set up inbox rules and calendar flows that keep your day smooth, build quick, clean dashboards or reports in Excel, Power BI, makes you look way more competent, organized, and reliable, even if your actual knowledge is on par or slightly less than others. It's not flashy, but it's powerful. Master the boring tools, then let people wonder how you seem to always be on top of everything. Story 64. Make the cop laugh. It has gotten me out of a couple of tickets. When they ask me how I am doing, I say I was doing real good until you turned your lights on. Another time I seen the cop making a U-turn after he passed me by. I was speeding. I pulled over way before he got to me. As always, he asked, "How are you doing today?" I said I was doing great till I seen you make that U-turn. He asked, "So you knew?" I said I wouldn't have bet my life on it, but I would have put 20 bucks on it. Both times just a warning. Story 65, honestly. Maintenance. Everything in your life that you want to keep takes maintenance. Health, eat healthier, go on walks, maybe go to gym. Mouth, clean it properly, eat less sugar, drink water. Friends, spend some time with them. Go out together sometimes. Significant other, again, spend some time. Spend a little money, at least a little. Car, literal maintenance, gas, oil, wash, air pressure, new tires, new fixes. House, short chores. Own your own house, get your water heater serviced, replace air filters. Cheap. Give everything the attention it deserves and do it honestly. It will take your time and money anyway, but it's generally less if done ahead of time, preventive, instead of when it becomes an issue, reactive. It helps you feel like things are in control. I've found it helpful to write things down. Almost anything by that happens with my car, including almost every single tank of gas. I write it down in my notes app. Takes 2 minutes, and I don't need to remember anything. Same for house, like a house journal. I even do this occasionally with dates with my girlfriend. She thinks it's cute. Story 66, home-baked goods. Doesn't have to be complicated. I've got a couple of go-to recipes that are quick and easy. They're welcome for every occasion. Someone in hospital, early meeting, gesture of appreciation, celebration, home-baked goods. It's not just a nice gesture. Sharing food is a group bonding ritual so deep and instinctual that even animals do it. It scratches a very deep itch and always makes everything better. Always remember to include any known dietary requirements. Story 67. There are no prizes in life for doing things the hard way. Read that again. If you are suffering from depression and your dishes are stacking to the ceiling in your sink, switch to paper plates for a while. If you have arthritis and it's hard for you to open cans with a can opener, buy the ones with the tab so it's easier. If you always forget to pay your bills despite reminders, set up autopay. Look at the areas in your life that you may be doing things the hard way to impress others or maybe to satisfy your ego. I promise you, no one gives two shits if you do it the easy way or the hard way, as long as it gets done. Story 68. I forget when I first heard "don't negotiate against yourself" as advice, but I remember that I kind of brushed it off as something too obvious to even worry about. Of course I'm not going to negotiate against myself. But then it started coming up over and over, in actual price negotiations at first, but then in social interactions. I learned something about myself. In an attempt to be affable, or foresee someone's needs, or maybe to feel useful, I found myself offering up my time and effort very easily, without anyone asking for it. Now I don't make a big deal out of haggling or being shrewd. I just keep my mouth shut for an extra 10 seconds and watch as the situation works itself out without me having to give up some part of myself. So yeah, don't negotiate against yourself. Maybe not a cheat code for everyone, but it worked on me. Story 69. Probably going to be buried, but when I was a student, I took a train to visit some relatives, and when I got to the station, they lived downtown, not super close to the station. I didn't want to pay for a taxi, and it turned out there were some swanky hotels near where my relatives lived that had shuttle service, so I hopped on the shuttle and got a free ride to their neighborhood. I don't remember if the driver asked me if I had reservations, but I just acted like I was going to stay at the hotel. The driver didn't seem to really care. Story 70, caffeine pills. Set your alarm for about 30 minutes before you need to get up. Pop a pill and go back to sleep and wake up wide-eyed at your normal wake-up time. Also works with other stimulants like ADHD meds, obviously, if you take that. I've been doing this for years, and it actually has seemed to reprogram my brain. My body is so used to jolting awake that my brain wakes me up on its own anyway now. Used to struggle to get up like most people, but now waking up is so automatic, and I have a lot of energy when I start my morning. Story 71, enjoy people's art and let them know. If you're at a small concert and obviously know the words and have a good time, so does the band. If you boot and holler, when appropriate, it usually gets in a feedback loop with them getting more into it. When you a painter, you like their art and why it makes them happy. So much of this is so easy, and in my case, very genuine and sincere, and is such an easy way to uplift someone. Story 72. This is really small, but I learned that if you smile at someone, they will most likely smile back. It's just a reflex, so often people smile back at you without even thinking about it. This won't make you their best friend, but if you can at least start with a smile, things have a better chance of working out. But it does have to be a genuine smile. People can usually tell the difference. Story 73. Everybody has to sincerely apologize sometimes, but in many cases, instead of saying sorry for, saying thank you for can be much more effective. As in, instead of sorry that I ran late, say thank you for your patience. Or similarly, instead of sorry that I can't do that for you, say thank you for understanding why I can't do that. Rather than apologizing for something negative that happened, you are praising something positive about someone else. It also doesn't cheapen sorry for when you really need to apologize. It sounds like a minor thing, but I've found it's surprisingly beneficial. Story 74, if you are trying to network to start a business or advance your career, email successful people within your city or company and ask if they can sit down for a 20-minute conversation about them, even if it is unrelated to your field. Successful people love talking about themselves and will almost never say no. It will open so many doors and put you ahead of most people. Story 75. Have a boss that has bad ideas because he has no idea what your department actually does and barely pays attention? Stop arguing with them and just say yes, then do whatever you were going to do anyway. You'd be surprised how often bosses only remember telling you to do something but don't really remember what that thing was. Story 76. My daughter is almost done with second grade and she'll ask me, how do you spell keen? And my response is always, how do you think you spell tiu? If she gets it right, she's thrilled that her intuition was correct. And if it's wrong, it's a teaching moment. The other one is just be nice to people. Interactions go so much better if you're just friendly and nice. I don't care what kind of day I've had. Be nice to the cashier or fast food worker or waiter, waitress. It will brighten their day too. Story 77. Well, while in the military, they don't like being non-productive. So when we would be at our sites at 4 in the morning and finish all the inspections or inventory by 7 in the morning, I would just walk by my equipment with a clipboard and some papers and write random things down, usually a log of what people said or asked. Nothing to do with the actual detail, but it was better than moving all the equipment out of a storage unit just to move it to the one next to it because someone said they were bored. Dangerous words. Note, all the work was done, was not slacking off, just didn't want to partake in the tomry because someone overheard someone say they were bored. Story 728. If you have a check engine light, go to a dealership to look at purchasing a new car using your car as a trade-in. On the trade-in disclosure form, say you have check engine light, but the car runs fine. The dealer will scan the car and give you a lowball offer, but they will explain their offer based on the issues found. You'll have wasted a couple hours at the dealer, but you'll walk out of there with a free diagnostic and maybe some snacks and drinks. Story 79. You can say yes if people offer you something. I was always raised to politely decline to take home leftovers, etc., and insist even if there was a lot left over and or you wanted some. But once I saw my husband be like, yeah, thank would be great, thanks, I was floored, even though there isn't necessarily anything necessarily cultural for me about accepting things. I'm white AF and my family wouldn't care. Like, it wouldn't even be seen as necessarily a bad thing for me to accept. Of course, there are many social situations or circumstances in which you would decline, especially if they were offering something they need. But I sat back and asked myself, really, why I didn't accept things, especially when I give so much away. LOL. You're also allowed to keep things, not offer things, especially if you need it. I gave away my favorite portable phone charger to a friend and a bunch of things that I would have liked to keep, and they didn't even need it. It was spur of the moment me thinking of them, I guess. Maybe I just want people to like me. Story 80. When looking for advice online, instead of just asking the question, get a friend to comment with very detailed but wrong answer to your question. People are far more likely to make the effort tell someone they are wrong than they are to simply offer help. When someone told me this, I thought it was very cynical, but I have tried it and it absolutely works. Story 81. Being nice to people in service jobs, customer support, hospital workers like me, janitors, cleaners, waiters. Basically, people who are often treated like garbage or ignored. Maybe it's manipulative, but treat them like humans. Give them the benefit of the doubt when they say they can't help. Say thank you even if they can't help you. And there's a good chance they will bend the rules for you or go above and beyond. And being kind feels good, so there's that too. Story 82. If you work in an office setting or any environment with administrative assistants, make sure to show them appreciation and thank them for any small tasks. Stay on their good side. They can often be looked down on status-wise but have more insider information, advice to navigate politics, and access to and influence on decision-makers than most people realize. Story 83. When you talk with any customer service, ask for help instead of telling them to do something or be upset. Whenever I call, even a question or complaint, say you messed up or really need their help or expertise. People, subconsciously or otherwise, get no self-satisfaction when they do something for someone angry. But if you ask for help and they're able to, it makes them feel good too, greatly increasing the chances of getting stuff done, or even extra. Story 84. If you have an e-reader, like the Kindle, or a way to read ebooks or audiobooks, download the Libby app and pop in your library card. Check out virtually anything for free, put in on the Kindle, then airplane mode. Now in 3 weeks when that ebook is due, your app just says, book returned, but it'll be on your Kindle until you reconnect to Wi-Fi. By the way, Canopy is a streaming service that works similarly with your library card. It's unlimited for kids stuff. It's not quite the same as other posts, but hours and hours and hours of free and no-fee entertainment is a cheat code in my book. Story 85. Pomodoro Technique. I've learned for studying, but it is perfect for work as well. I can't live without. Full focus, no distractions for 25 minutes, 5 minutes of pause, do anything else but working, studying. Repeat 4 times and do a bigger pause. I do 20 minutes. It helped me not only to keep my focus, but also teach my family to not bother me while I'm focused, as they know as soon as my break comes, they can talk to me without having to wait too much. Breathing exercises also are a game changer for people with anxiety. Story 86. Whenever you see someone spewing insane bullshit, just ask them, what makes you say that? If they're just making shit up, they won't be able to respond. If they're just insane, they'll be forced to try and actually articulate their garbled thought process, which will likely trigger a, well, now that I say it out loud, realization. Story 87. I suggest reading the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That book is the ultimate cheat code for interpersonal relationships and generally interacting with people. Use your powers for good and not for evil, please, after reading this book. There are so many of the lessons in it that people have already brought up in the threads here. But it's all in a well-written and thought-out format that's easy to read or listen to. It's an older book, but can easily be adapted to modern forms of communication. Story 88. Apologizing and taking responsibility. It can diffuse almost any situation. If you can summon sincerity and be articulate about it, I hardly ever have any real conflict anymore. Because as soon as someone starts to get mad, I just immediately apologize and find a way to take responsibility for whatever my part is. It costs nothing material to apologize, and the right people respect it immensely. Apologizing and taking responsibility has won me friends, gotten me business, opened all kinds of doors. It's amazing how many people are controlled by their ego and just literally can't do this. Huge disadvantage in life. Story 89. Show gratitude. Make sure to thank everyone in your life when they help you, when they do something nice for you, etc. Be sincere. Let people know you appreciate them and their effort. I always let a customer services agent know I appreciate their time and assistance with resolving my problem. Even before they resolve it, many times they will pull strings in the background to make sure you get what you need. I've been able to return items that I did not like when the company does not accept returns. I've received discounts, upgrades, etc. Just be nice to the people and good things happen. Story 90. When someone has crow's feet, it generally means they smile a lot, meaning making them laugh or smile is a good way to make them comfortable around you. When someone has lines between their eyebrows, it generally means they frown a lot, meaning you can anticipate aggression as a primary method of expression. When someone has lines on their forehead, it generally means they have a wide array of facial expressions and are likely social, meaning they'll likely be centers of attention and respond well in large groups. This isn't 100% accurate, but it does well enough for me to be helpful more often than not. Story 91. If you are or plan to be the breadwinner, don't get married. I know this is controversial, but hear me out. You can still fall in love with someone. You can still live with them and share your lives, but don't get legally married. There are zero positives. It makes no financial sense. If you live in a place that has a common law marriage, move. All of the positives of being married are from being ritually married, not legally. That is, unless you are trying to steal the other person's wealth when they die or you get divorced. In that case, 100% get legally married. If you want to legally share your life with someone because you love them, there are ways to do so without legally marrying them. Combined bank accounts, assets with both names on the deeds, etc. And also, the tax benefits of being married are marginal at best for most people. The cost of divorce will far exceed them in my experience. I'm sure lots of people will disagree with me, but this has been my experience anyway. Story 92. Being sufficiently observant can make you look like you can predict the future. Example, waiting for the train at the airport, everyone was gathered by a single door. I alone went to another door, and when the train arrived, my door opened and the other did not. Everyone following the crowd failed to notice the large, "This location closed" sign. I got a good seat. Story 93. Have 6 months to a year of savings of living costs. It will save you stress when something breaks down. You can fix it with time without affecting your life too much. Things cost cheaper when you're not in a rush and desperate. You have time to better buy more lasting items instead of a quick fix. You will likely save a lot of relationship strain by not needing to ask people for money and then return it. You will not need to be in a rush to sell items to pay for your expenses. Life will be a little smoother for those hiccups. It will give you time to find a better job if you lose it suddenly. Your life will be a little more stable and not feel you are on the edge constantly. Thank me later. LOL. Story 94. I've really tried to embrace the idea of Sonder. Basically, the idea that every person you interact with is a fully realized person with pain, happiness, worry, hope, etc. You're not talking to a faceless Target employee. You're talking to somebody that is a real person. My empathy has soared, and I feel I have more real connections with random people. Story 95. Compliment someone to their boss. It puts the boss in a good mood because it says something about the quality of their team and, by extension, about them as a manager. If the boss tells the person, "Hey, so-and-so, tell me you're doing a great job," it is better than if you just complimented them directly because you made their boss think well of them. And if the boss doesn't tell the person, you still come off as a generous person to the boss, who's probably someone it's useful for you to be on good terms with. And you get to be a nice person. Story 96. My day is 6 a.m. to noon. And I'm not crazy, you're crazy for thinking it takes 24 hours, just like someone in a cave did 300 years ago. My second day starts from noon and goes until 6 p.m. That's day 2, and then the next day is 6 p.m. to midnight. What I've done now is that I have changed and manipulated time. I now get 21 days a week. Stack it up over a month, I'm gonna kick your butt. Stack it up over a year, you're toast. Stack it up over 5 years, my entire life is different than it would have been otherwise. Story 97. Every night I write down the best 3 things that happened that day. Ending every single day on a positive note has made me genuinely happier. I've been doing this for around 15 years now. It works for a few reasons. I have to mentally run through and review each day and then filter out only the good bits. So even if I had a truly day, I still have to find 3 good things or things I am grateful for. Sometimes it's just, I didn't get rained on, or I'm not living on the streets like that guy I saw, but this means that I decide to finish every day on a positive note instead of letting the day decide how it will leave me. The key is to keep the notebook and pen by your bed so you don't forget to do it. I also use a fountain pen, which makes the whole exercise even more satisfying. It's part of my evening routine now. I went from being a bit of a complainer to being far more contented with my life. Story 98. At work, retail, when I ask someone how they are, and I get through usual okay or fine, I always follow up with something like, well, take a fine at work, hell yeah, or at work and still okay. Better than most, something to show I'm listening and care about their response. And for the people that don't want to talk or think or respond and just be a zombie, that's fine too, but usually people's eye light up or giggle a bit or snap out of zombie mode. Story 99. Silence. Don't fill space with ums and yahs in a presentation or during discussion. Just speak slowly and take a breath. Odds are the other side won't even notice. Likewise, in a negotiation or any other discussion, make your point, keep it short, and wait for the other person to respond. If they don't respond to your liking, shut up and they will probably continue to spill info. Story 100 happened to admire these massive almond pastries in a shop at railway station while buying some water before commuting home after a day's work. Overpriced for me, but love an almond croissant, so just said they looked great. She offered me one free because she said they'd be going off or be thrown out. So basically, close to closing time, admire pastries for potential freebies. Hee 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 hee. Story 101. Back in 2000-ish, I found an infinite money glitch. Walmart was selling copies of Metal Gear Solid VR missions for $3, and GameStop was accepting unopened returns of VR missions for $40. I went to every Walmart within a 100-mile radius and bought boxes of VR missions. The hardest part was convincing GameStops that my grandma kept accidentally buying me the same game. They must have figured something out after a couple months because they wouldn't take VR missions returns anymore. But by then, I had enough GameStop credit to fund my gaming for an entire console generation. Story 102. I told management I'm not driven by money during an annual review. I had no idea this was a cheat code until I told a relative who's in a very high management position elsewhere. I was having my annual review and quite frankly was looking forward to high praise for some programs and initiatives I had taken the past year. We are encouraged to document stuff like this online in our employee journal. I did and was very specific. When I got my review, everything was meets or exceeds expectations, with several superiors, but no mention of anything I was proud of. The two managers giving me my review seemed upset that I wasn't thanking them like crazy, but I was waiting my turn. They got super smiley when they told me my annual increase. Sharing it was one of the highest in the department and the highest at my job. No change in status and no sincere appreciation. I kindly thanked them and said I appreciated increase, but I'm not motivated by money. Yes, it's great, but no mention of the things I did that merited the raise. No mention of my efficiency, knowledge, work ethic, things I suggested to improve the job, programs I suggested that wound up getting implemented, the countless emails, letters, and documented coworker and customer compliments. My uncle explained I just became the scariest employee they had. Excellent at my job, but they can't just throw a few dollars at. I could go anywhere and be appreciated. I've since had several promotions, including very handsome salary increases. Story 103, gratitude, genuine gratitude has truly changed my life in all ways. Things fall into place, doors open, setbacks or detours, my house is a home, love is abundant, opportunities are endless, new roads are paved, strangers become people I connect with. I could go on and on. Life is full of ups and downs, but it's true when they say you get what you give. Instead of focusing on what I can't do, I focus on what I can do. I appreciate everything, no matter how big and no matter how small. I celebrate every win, and I view losses as lessons. Most importantly, I not only fill and replenish my own cup, but I give back, support, and do for others. I dream, I look forward, and I try not to dwell on the past. I give thanks to what was because it made me who I am. Tomorrow's not promised today, so every day I'm here, I'm thankful I have the opportunity to try again. And just to be clear, I'm not that person that's inappropriately happy, overzealous, or unrealistic. I absolutely have bad days. I've been through the fire, and I will lend my ear to others going through it too. The difference is I don't stay there too long. I get out of that energy as quickly as I can. Gratitude isn't just a game changer, it's a life changer.